And back in row number 11, it's going to be the 157 of Mike MLRA out of Winfield, Tennessee. Matt Johnson, the one in. The last two drivers to race their way in. Shane, how about a couple of provisional drivers?
Yeah, T-Rev, Trevor Gundaker back in the 11T will start inside row number 12. Justin Duty on his outside in the 15D.
And your final two starters, both drivers taking emergency provisionals, and one of those just happens to be your current Lucas Oil MLRA Series point leader, Tony Jackson Jr. out of Lebanon, Missouri, after night number 1. In the 25 machine alongside of Peoria, Arizona, Steve Stoltz in car number 78.
Obviously, Billy, it has been a very emotional week or so for the family here at the MLRA after losing one of your own.
Definitely tonight honoring the life of Lloyd Collins. Started with the Lucas Oil MLRA Series back in 2003. A guy that's been around dirt racing, originally from the Kansas City area for many years. Riverside Raceway, Lakeside Speedway called it home for many years. Thunderhill Raceway, as I said earlier, a longtime partner, crew member with Tom Charles, involved with a lot of other racers. The Racing Boys radio broadcasting network out of Kansas City, a very huge part of Lloyd Collins' wife, as well as you see on the family shirts down there on his golf carts. Fast Track Photos. The Fast Track Photo brand is Lloyd Collins' namesake for his photography business of late model racing passion that he shared with all of us here at the Lucas Oil MLRA Series.
And obviously, we like to do things right at Lucas Oil Speedway and anything that is affiliated with Lucas Oil. Great presentation to that family earlier on this evening with the presentation of colors honoring him and his legacy and trying to give as much remembrance as we can. With the introductions that we had earlier on, all of the cars are out. They had a crew member from each of the cars come out with the driver, make sure they got buckled back in correctly. Window net was up, so you see some of those starting to make their way off of the track. And once we do get that cleared, we will roll 26 cars out behind the Bill Roberts Chevrolet Pace Truck. 60 laps, $20,000 to win. And Billy, one thing we noticed, we were wondering if they would do any type of track prep with this new racing service. All they did was put a little bit of water down on the bottom of the track through the turns. They did not till anything up, so these drivers know what this track should do. There's plenty of prep that they've done themselves throughout the evening to get ready. They hopefully have it dialed in for a long feature coming up.
Boy, you see those tires pushed out early on tonight already, trying to keep those drivers off that concrete surface where there's a little bit extra grip if they get down there. You see also possibly some of that reason for that moisture being down there, Shane, to try and keep some of those drivers off of that bottom concrete apron right there. As you see the family of Lloyd Collins, I believe Eric Atwood, MLRA official, on board with them, giving Lloyd one final lap around the Diamond of Dirt tracks. Appreciate the military honors that were given to the family tonight, everything Reed Millard has done for the Collins family here. As I said, also a big shout out to series director Ernie Leftwich, put a lot into this program here tonight, as well as Missy Holman for putting that slideshow together. We'll try and get that up on the Lucas Oil MLRA Series Facebook page. Also get that put up on our YouTube page here in the week ahead, and let everybody be able to go out there and share some great memories. Always a great time to remember the positives, remember the good when you're in a tragic situation like this, and that's one of the things we've been doing here tonight is remember the good times with our good friend Lloyd Collins.
Had fast time qualifying earlier this evening. Dustin Hodges, a 14.788 on his lap time. First fast lap award that he has had with the MLRA, and it came at a right time because you want to have a great starting position with a 60-lap feature. This is going to be considerably different than last night as you get a look from the bird's eye view up top. You're going to have to conserve your tires here in the early going, and you wonder, someone like a Dustin Hodges that doesn't run 60-lap features all that often, is if he is going to have that mindset from P1.
It's going to be a huge mindset, especially when you're starting alongside of a guy like Jonathan Davenport, a three-time Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series champion right there as we watch Lloyd going down the front straightaway one final time. And that guy starting on the outside front row right now is your odds-on favorite. I know I'm not going to allow you to pick somebody on the front row tonight, but we're taking that out. But, the dominance that Jonathan Davenport has had here, it's got to be a little bit of an intimidation factor if you're a guy like Dustin Hodges starting on that front row. On the flip side, Hodges has got some laps around here as well. So it's definitely got to be intimidating. But I look back in the second row, and I look at that 49 car that's starting in the third spot. there's a guy right there that's a local guy, Justin Wells, that's going to have something to say for this. From what he showed us, Shane, in his heat race tonight, the way he raced, he's not afraid of these boys.
And that really started back on Thursday whenever practice came in. He was putting down some fast times during practice, and obviously he's had an extra race on this surface already. He came out for the actual season opener here at Lucas Oil Speedway. He won, by the way. He won 10 times last year, so he's pretty familiar with how to get around this 3/8 mile oval, but this really is a different breed for him as well. He's used to the MLRA. He's ran in this series before, but you got to give kudos to a driver that doesn't run with these big guns all that time to be able to start up on the second row.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing about this is it's going to give this guy a lot more confidence when he comes back here to Lucas Oil Speedway next Saturday night in that Hermitage Lumber late model division. I mean, being able to run with these guys has really got to elevate the confidence level in that 49 machine back there in row number 2. You look to his outside, you know, you've got another strong car out there in Mason Ziegler that had a great run last night. And how about a star-studded row 3? Garrett Smith, Ricky Thornton Jr., 2 guys that were players in last night's A-main event, right back in the thick of this. And as you said, tire management, how many of these guys that are veterans will this play a little bit more of a role into the Jonathan Davenport, Ricky Thornton Jr. type of scenario? And also keeping an eye on a guy that's starting pretty deep in the field. I think I called it out last night, Mike Marlar. We'll see if he can get a little bit further up tonight in the 157. A guy that likes those longer runs.
Another staple at Lucas Oil Speedway and with the MLRA is the salute to the fans, not just a salute to the fans, but a salute to all of our military, all of our veterans that have come out on a weekly basis, making sure that they know that they are appreciated for coming out and supporting the MLRA.
Right there, the missing man formation. One more final tribute to Lloyd Collins, MLRA staff member, longtime series photographer, as these drivers out here going to go put on a good show as the pace truck's showing the way here with missing man formation, leaving that open pole position for our friend Lloyd Collins. Miss you, buddy. We're all going to miss you up and down the road. And we know you're watching over us. Continue to watch over us, and we're going to be thinking about you and your friends and family as we salute you here tonight. A well-deserved honor for a great man, a great friend to many people, as these drivers are going to make it by one more time before we get ready to get some heat in those Hoosier Racing tires and put on a great show and a great tribute. And some other things planned here later on in the season as well as we continue to honor him. So, race fans on your feet, salute these drivers, the Cars and the Stars, the Lucas Oil MLRA Late Model Dirt Series, paying tribute to our great friend Lloyd Collins.
Fantastic crowd on hand here tonight at Lucas Oil Speedway. They'll get back out 2 wide, and as you mentioned, get some heat in those tires and in those engines before they come to full song. Something interesting whenever you talked to Jonathan Davenport last night about this track. He was asked about the racing surface, and he made the comment, and it's like the weather in Missouri. Give it a minute. It's about ready to change. He said the same thing about this track, is if the track hasn't come to you as of yet, or you don't have that right setup, just give it a few more laps. At some point in time, you're going to be able to hunt and search, find the grip. The track's going to come to you, and I think that's one of the things that makes Jonathan Davenport so dangerous.
It's all about the comers and the goers when you come in here to the Lucas Oil Speedways. It looks like we'll still get the one to go this time by, but yeah, you know, you're hot early on. You may not be the hot guy late in the race, and you've seen it last night too. Davenport could not just dial into one specific line out on the racetrack. As that lap traffic became into play a night ago, he had to search around a little bit, find some different grooves out on the speedway, and make sure that he was still in the fastest line on the racetrack.
So are you not going to let me have the front row tonight? You're going to make
no
me
front row.
Well,
no front row. I'm
okay.
giving you an extra 2 cars. We got extra cars tonight, so I'm giving
we
you.
do. You know, how can you not look at Ricky Thornton Jr. right now starting outside row number 3, just knowing what he did last night? He told you he was more of a long-run car. Well, you got extra laps to make it to the front tonight.
I'm going to go back a little bit further. I'm going to go with Garrett Smith, driver car number 10. He was hot early last night. How about a big night of redemption as we come over here, race fans, to the Nutrient Ag Solutions Start Zone. MLRA Spring Nationals finale underway at the Diamond Dirt Tracks. Picking up right where he left off a night ago, lap number 1. Jonathan Davenport not wasted any time, able to gap the field immediately here on lap number 1 at car number 49, quickly stretching out the advantages. We start to settle out back here for second and third. How about the move by the other 49 on the racetrack tonight?
Running really well right now, running up towards the front in fourth right now. Dustin Hodges up the track he went. Ricky Thornton Jr., good job to duck underneath him, take that spot away. Battle for third as Justin Wells to the inside has to lift up off the gas just a little bit. And RTJ will take advantage as he jumps up to third.
High side of this racetrack right now, pretty dominant. You see some guys fishing on the bottom side, one of those being Chad Simpson in car number 25, your two-time back-to-back MLRA Series champion as he works his way towards the front. But right now, you've got almost a straightaway already. Davenport really able to, watching him roll into these corners, rolls it up there, hits the cushion, right back on the loud pedal. Almost looks like a Sunday afternoon drive, but not the case back here as Hodges has his hands full in the car number 22, with Chad Simpson working a nice line on the bottom. Is he one of those guys maybe kind of slowly working his way to the front to save some things?
And you can pick a couple different lines right now. You can go up to the high side and stay there. You can go to the bottom, or you can cut right through the middle, which is where Dylan McCowan is. He's in the tail end of that. The last year's Rookie of the Year honors goes to him. He's just down the road, a former track champion in a modified class. He's got some work to do, but again, you can tell so many distinctively different lines that you can take to get around this track.
And that last time by Jonathan Davenport, the only driver in the 16-second barrier. Everybody else up over 17 seconds, about 3/10 of a second faster that last lap. But that's all about to change because Jonathan Davenport's got lap traffic in front of him as we now watch Garrett Alberson wheeling the Roberts Motorsports car number 58 down to the bottom side of the speedway, trying to make his way around Justin Wells in car number 49, and he will do just exactly that.
Only takes about 7 laps for Jonathan Davenport to catch up with the tail end of the pack and start putting cars a lap down. One of the things that I found kind of interesting whenever you talked to him last night after his victory, you asked him about the 4 late model wins that he had a year ago, but the first thing he brought up to you was how impressive it was to come out here on that SRX race at the end of the year with some of the heavy guns. And you look at the different types of cars that he's had to drive over the years. He's ran Ford NASCAR down at Bristol, and then he comes in and runs in that SRX race. He can win on dirt just about any time he gets behind the wheel, doesn't matter what it is. He can have the tractor that we plow the track up with and still come out and run up front.
Might make a better race if we put him on that next time out there as he's starting to stretch out the advantage. But yeah, very versatile driver. Anything on the dirt series, whether it's the SRX or here in the Lucas Oil MLRA series, Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, he has just found something on this racetrack, and he really can't pinpoint it. Just that he's a guy that likes to mix things up, and he's a guy that can adjust. And adjusting in this day and age is a huge thing.
See Justin Wells in the 49, and again was your former track champion from a year ago whenever he won 10 times. And now Jonathan Davenport heavily mired in lap traffic trying to pick his way through, and he works around the guy that's on top of the point standings right now in the MLRA, and Tony Jackson Jr.
Yeah, Jackson started back there in that final row on the field. He's currently riding in the 22nd spot, so he's made it up 3 or 4 positions, but long way to go right there for the 25 machine of Tony Jackson Jr. But this lap traffic always comes into play here at the Lucas Oil Speedway. You know, looking at it here a couple of minutes ago, Davenport had a 3.1 second advantage. We've caught lap traffic. Mason Ziegler has been able to drop that down to 2.7. So not a whole lot of change up in front. Davenport doing what he's got to do in lap traffic at this point really hasn't impeded his progress as he now makes his way around the 10 of Garrett Smith.
And we talk about points in the MLRA. Chris Simpson, it became so valuable for him to get every single point he could. He finished second after a rough start to the season. Tony Jackson Jr., the driver that Jonathan Davenport just passed a couple of laps ago, back to the B feature. He was on the front row, didn't even complete a lap. Had to go back into the pit area, get some service work done, takes that emergency provisional. So you know he's going to try to stay out as long as he can if he decides to run for that championship in the MLRA and rack up as many points as he can.
A couple of championship guys right there as Chad Simpson works down to the bottom side. I'm going to look right up in front of those guys. Right now, your biggest mover of the night, Garrett Alberson, started back in position number 13. He's taking that Roberts Motorsports car number 58 all the way up to P4 on the grid. That's a guy that would love to see a caution in this race right now as he works his way through lap traffic off the exit of turn number 4 as we continue to watch this battle with Chad Simpson and Justin Wells as they work their way down the front straightaway.
Chad Simpson running in 7th right now again. He has won the last 2 MLRA championships, trying to make it 3 in a row this season. And we've seen so far just in the opening couple of races of the year, seems like all the cars seem to be pretty even this year. We've seen that with times. We've seen that with just trying to work your way through the field. I think for him to be able to three-peat, going to be really tough for Chad Simpson to do it this year.
It's consistency, but so much of this, Shane, has to do with night in and night out. Who's got it every night? You can't have 4 to have, but a couple of bad nights, off nights, I'm going to call him here in the points championship chase. And right now, he's having a good night. Tony Jackson Jr. on the opposite end of that, but a long, long way to go here in the championship chase is Jonathan Davenport. Now Ricky Thornton Jr. into that second spot. Ziegler back to position number 3. Same 3 characters we seen a night ago. Going to duke this thing out here as we've got 20 laps on the board, 40 to go here at the Lucas Oil Speedway.
Jonathan Davenport continues to lead over Ricky Thornton Jr. Mason Ziegler now back to third as RTJ jumps up a spot. He still has an entire straightaway behind Jonathan Davenport, and there's about 6 lapped cars in between. Superman, who's running in the top spot, he's going to put another car a lap down, and now you're really starting to see this track rubber in more and more black through the turns. That's what you're going to get at the end of a long run, especially in 60 laps.
And for everybody, Davenport continuing to stretch out the advantage. Thornton not able to close the gap here, and you would have kind of thought maybe lap traffic might have kind of played into the hands of Ricky Thornton Jr. and Mason Ziegler, but as you said, right now, everybody up on that top cushion hugging that rubber, but right now it's a fine line up on that top side, especially down there in turn number 1 and 2 as they continue to push that cushion up just a little bit, but this racetrack is really blackened off down here in turn number 3 and 4 as you see Davenport clear up on that mud, hitting that cushion up in turn number 1 and 2 as he works his way down the back chute. But a couple other good racers right there. Gordy Gundaker trying to run for the MLRA series this year as well, and car number 11 works to the inside of Chad Simpson, having a good run here on night number 2.
Gordy Gundaker able to get around Chad Simpson, jumps up to 7th. Simpson back to 8th, and a good run for Cole Wells. We were talking about Justin Wells running top 5. That number 7 on the bottom of the track, his son Cole, also having a good run.
Cole Wells had a great run last night as well, had to race his way in through a B main event. A couple of distinct lines, as I say. You still watching Gundaker run the bottom, and hey, how about the hats off for the 22 machine of Dustin Hodges? He is hung up in here all race long, and tonight for the first time, we see the Midwest Sheet Metal caution on the front straightaway for the 32 machine of Chris Simpson.
So 25 down, 35 remain on the final night of the Spring Nationals, and it has been all Jonathan Davenport. Seems like it's been all Superman for about the last 2 years or so, but Ricky Thornton Jr. in second right now. And what a disappointment it was for RTJ last year at the Show Me 100 after thinking he was going to be able to grab the checker flag in one of the biggest crown jewel events. Didn't quite make it through tech. He is now back again trying to rally, and maybe this will be his year.
I don't know, he alluded last night, Jonathan Davenport right now, the guy to beat, working his way up on those dirt-on-dirt power rankings as we pull it back into the Nutrient Ag Solutions start zone and get a green flag back in the air as we watch from high atop the Lucas Oil Speedway. Boy, Davenport really pushes it up on the cushion on that one, but same thing, looks like the leader does it. The second place guy kind of followed that same exact line as Thornton did.
Boy, that is the reason why we wanted to have Air Forest One here tonight, to give you that vantage point. You really can't see it all that well because you can't get high enough on the track, but he is looking for every bit of grip that he can find, and Ricky Thornton Jr. is trying to hang with him. Now Garrett Alberson around Mason Ziegler. Alberson is up to third.
Alberson with a good move right there. Ziegler trying to cross it over back in turn number 1 and 2. We'll see if Ziegler drives to the bottom. This time he will not. He will concede that position to the 58 of Alberson, a guy that's been knocking on the door. He's got a couple of MLRA wins to his credit, and now he's got a lot of work to do if he's going to find a way around that 49 machine of Jonathan Davenport out in front. As we quickly start to stretch it out, you got to look a little bit further back and looking at guys like Mike Marler. They're also working that top side of the racetrack as we've got a lot of heavy traffic down the front straightaway, and part of that's problems with the 8 machine of Dylan McCowan. He's got some heavy right side damage as he works his way out the exit of turn number 2 for the former series Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, right now Dylan McCowan has dropped anchor. He was running 6th or 7th, and now he just continues to have a tailspin. Taking a little bit longer this time for Jonathan Davenport to get to the back end of the field as the cross flags will come out from Mike Striegel up on the flag stand. We're halfway home.
Halfway home, and as Davenport makes his way into turn number 1, leaders are just now, or I should say the backside of the field, just about quarter of a track away as Steve Stoltz works his way on the top side. He'll be the first victim to fall in the crosshairs of Jonathan Davenport and set this thing up again. As we said last time, he had erased a 4-second advantage, this time at the line. Thornton back by 1.7, so it's a little bit more of a manageable deficit if he can get it into lap traffic and see if he can make something happen with Davenport. Here as we've got 31 down and 29 to go for 60 laps. 20K on the line at the Lucas Oil Speedway.
Big wiggle from Dustin Hodges as Logan Martin was looking to his inside. The pole sitter with the fast time up against the big guns has drifted back and is just trying to hang on to a top 10 finish right now. Logan Martin right behind him. And then Earl Pearson Jr., who did not make the show last night. He's also trying to battle up for a top 10 finish.
Yeah, Earl Pearson in that Lucas Oil Products T-Glitter Wrecker service entry as he tries to chase down slow and easy on the throttle, chasing down Logan Martin. See, Martin's the driver that lost that right side of that spoiler on the right rear of his deck lid coming off. Wonder if that had to affect the handling of that car just a little bit, as he doesn't quite have that full entire spoiler as he works to the outside of Hodges. We continue to watch this race off the exit of turn number 2.
And Chris Simpson, for the second night in a row, Billy, had to go back into the pit area, come back out, go all the way to the tailback. Yes, he does have some extra laps tonight to make his way to the front, but he is already back up to 13th. He is inching closer to the top 10.
Yeah, keen difference from a year ago. He learned how important this points chasing is. A guy that doesn't really do a lot of points chasing as we bring out the caution for the second time tonight. Midwest Sheet Metal caution will come out in turn number 4 as Matt Johnson going around in car number 1. It'll bring out the caution for the second time in tonight's 60-lap A main event.
So Matt Johnson spins around for the second caution of the night. We got another 15 or 10 laps or so in. We're up to 35 complete out of 60. They'll get them all lined back up, stacked and packed, and we'll come back to Lucas Oil Speedway on Night of Speed from the Diamond of Dirt tracks in Wheatland, Missouri. Mike Marlar marching towards the front. He's worked up to 7th right now at 14 spots. Garrett Alberson up 10, but it has still been all Jonathan Davenport. He has led every single lap of feature action for the Midwest Late Model Racing Association. Every one of them last night, and he has led 35 so far here tonight. Shane Freeby, Billy Rock here at Lucas Oil Speedway after the spin by Matt Johnson. They've gotten everyone lined back out, just making sure that the back half of the field is correct. It has been all Superman and RTJ after the last restart, and we rattled off some laps with still 2.1 seconds behind Jonathan Davenport.
Davenport controlled the whole entire weekend at this point. The only thing he hasn't done was didn't pick up the fast time tonight, as Dustin Hodges grabbed that as he continues to try and keep those tires from glazing over as they all try and working on the tire management here. As you talked about at the onset of the show, you know, tire management can be a huge deal. These guys are going 60 laps tonight. Can only imagine coming back here in about 5-6 weeks, we're going 100 laps.
Almost twice what we're doing tonight. Not quite, but close.
And, you know, we kind of said it earlier, and I'm glad you pointed it out a minute ago. You know, watching the 157 of Mike Marlar. Last night, he really didn't march forward as much as I thought he did. But last night, we're only 5 laps from the finish on this one. He's still got 25 laps to go. So don't count out that 157. He had a dominating weekend last weekend, and he's always the guy that waits until late in the race that seems to find his way towards the front of this thing. And keep an eye on Marlar in that 157. But right now, it has been all Jonathan Davenport. He's about to take us in that Nutrien Ag Solutions number 49, right back through the Nutrien Ag Solutions start zone as he will take us back green here with 25 laps to go at the Lucas Oil Speedway.
Still 16 cars on the lead lap. And Jonathan Davenport has been picking them up and putting them down as 3 cars now up battling for second. Garrett Alberson to the inside, Ziegler to the outside. And Jonathan Davenport pulls away by 6 car lengths.
Got to give credit to Ricky Thornton Jr. making an effort right there on that initial restart. Is now Alberson back in third. Ziegler runs in the 4 spot. Ziegler up on the top side, and right behind them, here comes Marler. He's already picked off 2 more cars to put himself up inside the top 5 and 5th in that Bruning Rock Products car number 157. But right now, Thornton's the guy that's kind of under attack. I would like to see what would happen if Garrett Alberson finds a way around that 20 RT machine, if he possibly could have something. But right now, everybody's going to have to chase down the leader before they can even think about messing with him.
And clean air is king, even with late model racing. A caution and a big pile up, 4-5. Another car comes piling in over in turn 2. It is a parking lot on the top side of turns 3 and 4. Dylan McCowan involved in that. Cole Wells also involved. Dustin Hodges, who is your pole sitter, he's the one that's really backed up all the way into it. Aaron Morant in the 1X. And the Hobby Time Motorsports safety crew, they are going to have some work to do over in 3 and 4 after a big pile up on lap 38.
Trevor Gundaker able to make his way back out, and it looked like he had a very hard impact in there, so it looks like obviously must have been a lot of cosmetic damage on the 11 machine. Another guy that's chasing MLRA Series points, so very valuable for him to get back out here. And also looking, we talked about Tony Jackson Jr., still kind of undecided what his plans are for the season, but at this point, going to put a couple of poles in the water and see where things shake down over the next few weeks. I know he's heading up to Iowa with us next week to the Cedar County Raceway, as well as the 34 Raceway in West Burlington, Iowa, for 3 nights of racing for the MLRA Series. So we'll see how things shake out. That caution there was a little bit of a break for him, as many cars as we've seen dropping out of the race right there in that incident. Tony Jackson Jr. able to pick up a few spots, kind of the hard way. But, hey, points chasing, you've got to do what you got to do to get every position on this racetrack that you can every night of the season. And Tony Jackson Jr. going to do that as he's got that Midwest sheet metal right now stapled on the backside of car number 25.
Mike Marler was able to get a couple of more spots. He's up to 5th, and Dylan McCowan is able to make his way back out. Looked like it was just sheet metal damage. Yeah, I'd say there's some damage on the right side. Now that we get a better angle at it from up here.
Still trying to sort a few things out here. Right now, we've got a few cars out on the speedway that are not on the lead lap. So all the drivers on the lead lap, irregardless of whether you're Dylan McCowan or if you just came pit side or not, all lead lap cars will start nose to tail, and all the lap cars will start behind them on this restart. So that's why you see McCowan jumping up a little bit right there. He's going in front of all of the cars, so he was still on that lead lap. You'd kind of alluded he had been struggling a little bit with the handling of that race car, but looking at that right there, you look at how many lap cars we've got on this racetrack right now that McCowan was able to kind of leapfrog on this restart.
Showing he is the last car on the lead lap in P16.
38 laps in the books, still 22 to go. $20,000 on the line. It's a nice 60-lapper here, presented by Arizona Sports Shirts, as caution lights are out. Back in the hands of Jonathan Davenport. He'll take us into that Nutrient Ag Solutions start zone, fire away, and back underway here at the Lucas Oil Speedway. We've seen Thornton take a shot at it last time down into 1. He's going to follow him this time on the top side. A little bit high for Ricky Thornton Jr. He's able to get the momentum, though, wound up off the top side, but keeping an eye on Alberson. Can he make something happen now, or will the 20 RT slam the door off the exit of turn number 4?
Hasn't slammed the door yet. Alberson still to the inside, wheel to wheel. Drifts up on the track and then right back down to the bottom, trying to find as much Brown down on the bottom. What can Brown do for you? Well, it can add some speed, especially if you can find it on the top or the bottom, because it is nowhere in the middle of the track at all right now.
Right now, it's all in that top side cushion down in turn number 1 and 2. As we watch that time, Thornton with a better lap, able to put a couple of car lengths between himself and the 58 of Alberson. This 3 and 4 is very treacherous right now as Davenport running a couple of groups off the bottom side of the speedway. Alberson able to close up a little bit of ground down there, but not able to make anything happen as he'll now float to the top side and start to follow. As you watch Ziegler's floating all the way to the top side off the exit of turn number 2 as he's sitting back there in position 5. He gives away to Mike Marler, who now moves inside your top 4 in the car 157.
Battle for second still continues to be Ricky Thornton Jr. top side, and now Garrett Alberson. He's going to try to do the same thing. He had been running down on low on the track. He decides to go up, follow the tire tracks of Ricky Thornton Jr., maybe try to get those tires cooled down just a little bit after a few more laps and make another run at second spot where Thornton has it.
Still looking at 17.4 second lap times for Jonathan Davenport, as we've got 43 laps up on the board now. Watching Marlar. Can he make one more move? Can he get a couple of more cautions maybe to help him out? You look at that, Shane. He's down there asphalt racing on the bottom side of this racetrack on the concrete. Haven't really seen it a lot tonight, but I know some guys alluded to it, how these guys last night were helping the crews, and they were moving the tires a little bit with that nose just a little bit on the bottom side of the racetrack.
And it wasn't just a friendly nudge. We had one roll all the way from the bottom of the track to the top of the track last night. So they are trying to get as far down on the track as they can without doing too much damage by rubbing those big white tires.
Still some moisture up on the top side. That's pretty wide cushion on the top side of this racetrack as it continues to march up. As you see Marlar scuffing that left front tire on the bottom side of turn number 3 and 4 is looking out front right now. 1.7 seconds the advantage. Davenport over Ricky Thornton Jr. Marlar now into the third spot. Alberson back to fourth, and Mason Ziegler continuing to hang on to the fifth spot.
I'm glad you mentioned the time difference between Jonathan Davenport and Ricky Thornton Jr. right now. Superman has not been able to pull away from Ricky Thornton on this run as much as he was earlier on. They're already caught up with lap traffic, but in previous runs, he would have checked out from anybody that's in second. RTJ's somewhat able to hang on to it, but right now, Mike Marlar able to get up into the picture in third, only 1 car length behind.
0.3 of a second quicker that time for Superman as he now puts a buffer in Aaron Morant between himself and Ricky Thornton Jr. But Mike Marlar, still a little bit of time, 12 laps to go. Going to need some help on this one, but Thornton a little bit tight there off the exit of the corner. Mike Marlar really able to keep that 157 down the bottom side of the speedway, and here comes Mike Marlar. Marlar down to the inside. He'll slide right up in front of Thornton, but he's going to pull the crossover. Not going to make it happen this time by. That was a huge move. Would have given him 10 big laps if he could have gotten around Ricky Thornton Jr., and he might have just woken up the driver of the 20 RT right there.
Yeah, the sleeping giant, if you will, was awoken. Ricky Thornton Jr. now deciding he can't mess with Mike Marlar anymore. If he's going to make a run at Jonathan Davenport, he has got to get on it. He's got 3 cars in between he and Superman right now, and it is now starting to grow in that span. It's now up over 2 seconds from first to second.
Thornton making some moves right there in lap traffic. You see Trevor Gundaker now going to go between himself and the 157 of Mike Marlar. Marlar back down to the inside as these guys continue to battle it out. 8 laps at the line this time by. Jonathan Davenport, $7,000 payday a night ago. He's trying to pick it up again tonight with another $20,000 to continue his dominance here at the Diamond and Dirt Tracks.
Added another 0.3 on that last lap. Now 2.3 and change over Ricky Thornton Jr. Jonathan Davenport continues to pick him off one by one, and he is really trying to spot where he can pick and choose to go around these lapped cars. He's now on the bottom side through turns 3 and 4, and that is where all of those lapped cars are. And again, you see him getting all the way down on that concrete and the pavement on the inside of the track, trying to get those tires cooled down and find some type of grip.
Marlar up 18 positions into that third spot. A very good candidate right now for tonight's Swift Springs move of the race. He's made a lot of them on his way to the front as he's trying to get around Ricky Thornton Jr. as he still holds onto that podium position. As you watch Alberson now continue to work on a 4th place run, as well as this great battle. 3 cars right here battling it out down the back straightaway. It's a great battle for second for the second night in a row. We just can't get a battle for the race win on this one.
And you wonder why. It's Jonathan Davenport out in front, who absolutely owns Lucas Oil Speedway over the last 365 days.
That's the mystique of late model racing. Guys get hot, guys get cold, and that's, I think, what we're seeing right now this weekend. Jonathan Davenport is the hot guy, the hot hand right here this weekend at the Lucas Oil Speedway, as we've got just 3 laps to go and a phenomenal race battling for second. Alberson not going away. Did he save his tires here for the end? He makes his way around Marlar, who, Marlar's had to use up some stuff trying to get there to the front. So what a great run right here trying to battle that for the podium tonight.
Yeah, Garrett Alberson, you may be right. He may have lifted for a few laps, but now with 2 to go, he's the man on the hunt of Ricky Thornton Jr. for second.
Davenport going to get the white flag, the Barron's performance. 1 to go out this time by as he pulls in on the backside of Earl Pearson Jr. Down the front straightaway. One final time for $20,000. Down the back shooting into turn number 3. About to make his second stop of the year in Lucas Oil MLRA Victory Lane. Tonight's A main event winner, Jonathan Davenport, Superman, gets it done again at Wheatland. Davenport grabs the win. How about that battle for second across the line? It belongs to Ricky Thornton Jr., Alberson, Mike Marler, and Mason Ziegler. Rounds out the top 5 here again tonight. Some phenomenal racing, but man, the guy of the night, the driver of the weekend right there, is going to be Jonathan Davenport.
My Race Pass race results, you mentioned the top 5. Davenport, Thornton Jr., Alberson, Marler, and Ziegler. Then the Simpson brothers, 6th and 7th. Chad right ahead of Chris. Dalton Wilson, Justin Wells, local driver, able to hang on to a top 10 finish. Rodney Sanders up to 11th, your current point leader in the MLRA, able to salvage a 12th place finish right ahead of EPJ. Dylan McCowan, who had some issues, got back out but still went a lap down in 15th. Justin Duty, who had to take a provisional, he was up to 17th. Matt Johnson had an early spin. He finishes the first car 3 laps down. Then the rest of the 26 car starting grid, Steve Stoltz and Aaron Morant, both still on the track. And then all the issues we saw earlier with the big wreck with Wells, Hodges, Dusty Leonard, and Garrett Smith. Jonathan Davenport across the scales, he will go. Then we'll hear from our top 3 finishers. Billy Rock has already left the building. He's headed down to Victory Lane, where he will chat with Superman Jonathan Davenport, who is 20 grand richer after winning the 11th annual MLRA Spring Nationals from Wheatland, Missouri.